Hello, Ninja Maniacs. Kelly here with my good friend, Brian Clark at Be Known University. And today we're going to break down I'm going to call these Ninja slash Jedi Master marketing techniques on lead generation. And if you'll hang with us, you're probably going to hear some stuff that you didn't know. So I'm excited to get into today's concepts because here's what I know. If I bring this value to you, my heart's desire, and I know it's Brian's, is for you guys to capitalize on this information and go out ultimately and get some closings. So Brian, why don't we jump right into this and tell the Ninja Maniacs and share with them lead generation strategies going into 2021, because you shared this with me, and these are some incredible concepts. I can't wait for people to hear what's going on with Be Known University.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time to have me on here today. So what we're going to be covering is converting internet leads and really empowering you and giving you the ability to take more of those contacts or those at-bats that you get and go ahead and swing and knock that out of the park and hit a home run. So we're going to be covering the best practices that we have found working with hundreds of agents around the nation to grow their business and actually thousands of agents around the nation to grow their business. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing that we want to take a look at when we're looking at how well you're going to be able to convert your contacts is what systems that you have in place and what you have done to make your life as simplistic as possible, right? So right out of the gate, you can see on here that our goal is to automate everything that we can, create efficient methods of deliveries for those that we cannot. And if growth exceeds capacity, hire staff as needed. So what does this mean? So the first thing that we're looking at for automating everything that we can, we want to make sure that we can leverage technology to do a lot of the work for us and save us as much time as humanly possible. For the tasks that we manually need to do ourselves, we need to have an efficient, streamlined method for that so that we can get from point A to point B in the quickest amount of time. Now, if we get to a point to where you can't make all of the necessary calls that you need to make, send out the text or maybe send a mailer, do all of those parts in your follow-up campaign, I would recommend hiring an ISA that can handle that for you. So as growth exceeds your capacity, hire staff as needed so that you can continue to grow your business in an efficient manner. Now, I'd like to ask, and I'd like for you guys to ask yourselves this as we're going through this. Do you have the following systems in place? So number one, do you have a CRM that's going to automate texts and emails out to your leads? These can be video texts, these can be regular texts, these can be video emails or regular emails. Are you remarketing your leads with retargeting campaigns, outreach on social media platforms, and mailers? Now, this is huge. We want to make sure that once we capture that lead, we continue to nurture them and continue to put that message in front of them. They may not see the text, they may not see the email. So it's always good to make sure that we get back in front of them on several different mediums, especially the one that they first reached out on.
Brian, let me just jump in real quick. Guys, what you're hearing right now is the difference between the average realtor and those teams in your zip codes that are actually crushing it. Most agents think if you send a text or an email that you've done a good thing. Guys, that's just opening up the door. If you're not getting proficient with retargeting, with social outreach, with direct mail campaigns, then you're missing closings. Our goal is to show you how to get to 3 to 5 closings a month. And the remarketing your leads campaign he just talked about, if you're not doing that, pay close attention, because this is what it's going to take to get you 3 to 5 closings a month. You've got to be doing these things. And as the Ninja Maniac leader here, guys, I'm just saying right now, Brian's team does this. They do it well. And this is how you get in front of the maximum amount of prospects and actually convert them. Because we're not talking, Brian, about just lead generation, right?
Absolutely. This is all about converting those leads once you've generated them to make sure that you're not wasting your ad dollars. And Kelly, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. These are the activities and the processes that our top teams around the nation put in place to see the highest level of return on investment. And if you're putting a focus on making sure that your systems are in place and that your team is well oiled and working flawlessly for you, it's going to make sure that you convert at a higher rate, which is going to put more money in your pocket, right? So absolutely need to make sure that we're focused on those remarketing strategies, but you also need to make sure, and ask yourself this question: do you have a strategy that involves a routine, block times, and scripts and outlines? Now, if you are a long-term agent that's been making dials for years, a script or an outline may not be the direct path for you. If you've kind of already loaded your lips up with everything that you need to say on that call because you have all that experience from putting in hundreds of dials a day for the last couple of years, a script or an outline may not be the best path for you. But making sure that you have the right set of unique selling propositions in place is going to be an absolute game changer. Now, routines, I recommend every single day making sure that you have a routine so that you can follow up with your leads systematically. That way, you're never dropping the ball or missing any opportunities. You're paying for the leads, don't waste them. And block times. I've always been a huge fan of setting up block times in my schedule so that I know that every morning between 9 and 11, the first thing that I'm going to be doing is reaching out to my past leads that I've already contacted, and I'm getting my follow-up in. The reason I do this so that I can get the marbles out of my mouth, loosen up my vocal cords, and get everything ready to rock so that when I call that brand new prospect that I haven't spoken to yet, I'm on point. Kelly, would you say that you put a strategy in place that involves routines, block times?
Yeah, let me give you one quick
Scripts are out.
example. One of the
USB.
reasons why my team does so much with FSBOs and expireds is we have text and email campaigns. We've got the remarketing stuff as well as direct mail. So every morning, myself, the team, the agents that follow me, we block out between 9 and 10 to 10:30 in the morning every morning to get direct mail. For instance, in this venue, high converting postcards out to for sale by owners and expireds that are fresh and new. And this is why we tend to list more FSBOs and expireds as a team than most other agents that I know of or teams that I know of, because we're consistent by blocking out that time. And guys, we're on average, everybody on our team is working with or marketing to every month 40 to 50 new FSBOs and expireds, each coming into our system and then blocking out time every day to make sure we get our message to that market. So that is, to me, probably, if not the most, one of the most important things about your real estate business, because without that, you're always going to be average.
I completely agree with you there, Kelly. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is what is an effective follow-up plan, right? So we want to make sure that we put together a follow-up plan that's going to be highly effective, that's going to have a high conversion rate, and it's going to give you the best opportunity to convert those leads. So unique outreach campaigns are going to include calls. So you need to make sure that you have a campaign set up so that you're calling and following up with those leads. We're going to cover some more statistics as we go through this slideshow as to why you need to make sure that you do that. But make sure that your follow-up includes a call strategy, a text campaign strategy, an email campaign strategy, save search alerts, whether it's a buyer or a seller. And the main reason you want to focus on this for a seller as well, where are they going to move once they sell their property? You got to make sure that you're getting them excited about the next home that they're going to be moving into. Retargeting campaigns, social outreach, and of course, mail campaigns. So all of these things are a necessity and the foundation building blocks of building a solid follow-up campaign and plan so that you can really attack your leads with the most efficiency and convert at the highest level. So moving on to safety nets. I call every form of follow-up that we do its own unique safety net, its own unique campaign, right? So think of it this way. If we've got rain falling down from the sky, and we're just going to say that rain is our leads, and you're putting buckets out there to make sure that you can capture as many of those as humanly possible, you want to make sure that you have an efficient funnel that's funneling them directly into that bucket, and you're capturing as many raindrops or leads as humanly possible. So you want to make sure that when you have a lead that comes into you, you've collected name, phone number, email. You've also gathered some additional information about what they're looking for in a new home or about their home that they're going to sell. We want to make sure that we incorporate that into our follow-up campaigns so that we can catch them on text if they're going to respond via text. We can catch them on email if they respond via email, through a phone call, send them a friend request on social media, send them a DM after you've gotten that friend request approved. Set up safe search alerts in an automated way so that you're constantly putting properties in front of those individuals. retarget ads with blog posts or pre-recorded webinars so that you're providing that individual, that buyer or seller, with information and you're empowering them to get ready to make the next step. Retargeting with additional video ads as well, so that you can place yourself as the expert in that local marketplace, and then also provide more listings to them through that retargeting.
Mhm.
So in each of these campaigns, you're going to see, for text follow-up, we say 7 touches in 20 days minimum. These are real life statistics that we have found, where when we have more than 7 touches over a 20-day period, we have seen roughly a 40% response rate from those contacts. Follow-up email campaigns. This is huge. You want to make sure that you stay in front of that individual for 180 days at a minimum once they've submitted their information to you. The average prospect that reaches out or fills out a form on a Zillow or Realtor.com, trust me, I know, I worked there, has spent 90 days on that platform before providing their information. When we're running ads to them on Facebook, we're catching them on a medium where they're extremely comfortable and they're open to providing you with their information. So we might catch that lead a little early on in the process, meaning we get them for a lot less money, and it gives us the ability, as long as we have the right safety nets in place, to convert that lead before they go on and talk to an agent that's paying thousands and thousands of dollars a month on Zillow or Realtor.com. We will also get into why we need to make sure that we have 20 attempts in 60 days for the follow-up call campaign here in just a moment in one of the next slides. But Kelly, do you have anything to speak to on setting up safety nets?
Yeah, guys, one of the main things that I see inherently when I coach and have calls from agents who are struggling is they're not doing any of this. You know, gone are the days of blasting out a text and having, 10 listing appointments next week, or sending out 100 direct mail letters to a FISBO one time, or sending out an email blast that has an open rate of 3 to 5%. Those things aren't working. And agents, unfortunately, and I know if you're listening to me, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but if that's been your strategic plan, that's why it's failing. So the purpose for today is to show you that this is what, at a high level, some of the big teams are doing, and you can easily implement these strategies. We're bringing this to you because our heart desire is to see you do what the big teams do, predictably and scalability into your market. And guys, if you're just not doing what Brian's touched on the safety net, this could be an indicator of why you're not getting the closes you want. So pay close attention as we get into the next couple slides, because you're going to transition to see how important this is for you, and how the single biggest thing is it's not that difficult. We want to remove that difficulty, like, oh my God, I have to be techie. You don't have to be for this type of campaign, but if you want 3 to 5 closings a month, this is what you need to pay close attention to. And if you're not doing that, pay close attention, because Brian's about to break down some things that will literally change your real estate business. So Brian, man, so far, this is like red meat to a lion, brother. I'm enjoying this.
Absolutely. I appreciate you chiming in on those safety nets. That definitely means a lot. Now we're going to get into the stats. And so these stats are why we've put these numbers in place, and why we say you should make this certain number of calls or the certain number of texts, certain number of emails over a period of time. So when we look at Facebook leads or Google leads or Realtor leads, Zillow leads, in most cases, we're going to consider that a cold prospect. Yes, they've submitted their information, they've provided it over to you, but there hasn't been any communication yet with that contact that's really warmed it up. So I look at every lead that comes from the internet as a cold lead. And so what you're going to find is that only 2% of cold calls to these leads result in an appointment. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to make sure that you're continuously following up, because the more touches that you have, the higher that percentage of conversion goes. So agents typically right now have to dial 18 or more times on average to connect with a prospect. That's the reason we have 20 dials over that 60-day period, to make sure that you're following up with that lead efficiently so that you can make that conversion. Because once we get past that 18 dials, we have a lot more answers, and it gives us a lot more at-bats and ability to convert those contacts. Agents who believe that cold calling is no longer effective experience 42% less growth than those who believe otherwise. So I know there's a lot of gurus out there that tell you don't pick up your phone, don't call your leads. It's not how people want to be communicated with these days. Although they may have a system that works for them, on the grand scale of things, if you're not putting in the dials and you're not putting in the time, you are losing business. Bottom line.
So Brian, let me say this for the agents that are watching this right now. What he's talking about with regard to these types of cold calls, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. These cold calls are people that are responding to your campaigns.
Absolutely.
This is different than picking up a phone book or a geo farm area and calling people that haven't received anything. That's a different type of cold call. So for those of you watching this going, oh, I don't want to do that thing I saw the guy on YouTube do. I don't want to geo farm call. We're not talking about that. We're not saying that's bad, but this is cold calling people that have responded to a direct mail, an email, a Facebook ad, a YouTube ad. Correct, Brian?
100% correct.
Okay.
And I'm definitely not going to bash those that have the tenacity to get on the phone and cold call and dial for dollars.
You gotta have a set.
No, I have mad respect for individuals that will put in that kind of work ethic and go for it, because dialing for dollars is still a real thing. And if you're putting in the time, the effort, the energy, and you are honing that craft, every call you're going to get a little bit better. And every time you get better, it gives you more opportunity at that next at bat. So keep doing what you're doing if that's what you're doing, and be sure to break down those calls so that you can find areas where you can improve yourself. No matter what stage you are, how long you've been doing this, there's always room for improvement. There's always a way to get better.
And one more thing, Brian, for God's sake, agents, if you call a lead that responds to a text, a video, an email, a direct mail piece, or a Facebook ad, YouTube, whatever, don't do this. Hello, is this Brian Clark? You don't want to do
Is this
that.
the IRS calling me?
No, you want to make it very natural. And I know we're not going to get into that, but I was just thinking about that as he was talking. And I know agents are going, oh, what am I going to say? Just say, hey, Brian, this is Kelly. How are you doing? Right? That's how I want to be talked to. But anyway, I digress. I was thinking about that as you were talking, and I'm just hearing agents in their mind right now kind of rehearse. What am I going to say? What am I going to say?
We'll kind of get into that in a couple more slides. Load your lips up a little bit, so to speak, with things to say on that initial call.
I love it.
So this is one of my favorite pieces to this. Agents that have a prioritized list of prospects are 19% more likely to call leads within 5 minutes and 26% more likely to make that first call within an hour. Speed to lead is the most important aspect of your follow-up. If you can pick up that call and get that dial that contact within 2 minutes of them submitting their information, you have a 5 times higher likelihood of getting on the phone and having a conversation with that individual. Think about it this way. It's fresh on their mind. They just submitted their information. They were just thinking about selling or buying a home. There's no better time to reach out to that individual than when it's fresh and on their mind. Because if you call them 3 hours down 3 hours after they submitted their info, they may be at the grocery store. Their kids might be running around all willy-nilly and they're trying to herd them like stray cats, and it's not going to work. You're going to get them on the phone. They're going to tell you they got to go, and they're not going to give you the time. So be sure to prioritize that list of prospects and focus on the newest leads right now. Call them within 2 minutes. Give yourself the best opportunity to convert. 7.5 minutes is the average length of cold calls that successfully move into the next stage or meeting. So we're going to discuss ways to make sure that you can sink your claws in, hold that contact onto the phone for a certain period of time, and really give yourself the best opportunity to convert that lead in the next couple of upcoming slides. 93% of the potential success of your follow-up call is attributed to your tone of voice during the conversation. Remember earlier how Kelly said, don't call them up and say, hi, is this Brian Clark, or hi, is this Kelly Wheeler? If you come across with that monotone, just boring tone of voice, you're not going to get anywhere. You gotta set the precedent, come across as an expert, have a little bit of excitement for that call, but don't go over the top, because once we've got a fine line that we gotta kind of walk there, because once we go over the top, it can also be detrimental. Too monotonous, it can be detrimental. So we got to find that perfect level ground to make sure that when we're communicating with these individuals, we are not boring them or making them feel like this is a Billy Mays commercial where we're going to sell them OxyClean and it's going to clean everything in their house, right?
Yeah, for God's sake, don't come across as a salesman or a televangelist. Come
Absolutely.
across as a normal human being.
Act like you were friends. The best piece of advice that was ever given to me by a manager of mine is that if you make that call and you act like you're a longtime buddy and you've been friends with them for a long time, you're probably going to be able to have a much longer conversation with them, and you're going to be able to convert that lead at a much higher rate. So treat every cold call as if it's a long-time friend, somebody that you've been buddies with forever, and bring that tone to the table. You'll see an astronomical change in your conversion rate. And stating the reason for your call outreach can boost success rates by 2.1 times. So letting somebody know why you're calling them. Hey, I'm reaching out because you filled out a form on Facebook regarding homes for sale. I'm reaching out because you had filled out your information on my website saying that you were thinking about selling your home. Bring up the reason that they reached out to you as part of the reason why you're calling so that you can jog their memory. Now, we're going to kind of go over how your call should go, your introduction call to your leads. And I personally prefer an outline over a script because that way it gives me kind of markers throughout that call of things that I need to make sure that I can accomplish so that we can get to the appointment and meet this person to either show them properties or do a walkthrough on their home and see what we can take it to market at. So the outline of this call, number one, we need to make sure that we introduce ourselves and have an introduction period. You're asking a little bit about them. You're providing a little bit about you. You're providing the reason for that call. There's going to be an immediate objection. 99.9% of the time when you call a lead or you're following up with somebody, you're going to get an objection right after that first sentence that comes out of your mouth. So we need to overcome those objections so that we can continue this conversation. Somebody saying that they're just looking doesn't mean it's time to get off the phone. This is time to start peeling the onion and going through the layers and getting as much information out of that person as humanly possible so that we can make sure that we're doing our job, putting the right properties in front of them or giving them the right information they need to sell their home. Permission statements. These are huge. Once you've gotten through that initial objection and we're moving on with that call, we're going to move into an interview phase at some point in time. So my favorite way to do this is to ask a permission statement. Now that I've gotten to know you a little tiny bit and I've got a better sense of what you're looking for in a home, would it be okay if I asked some questions and took some notes so that I can make sure this process is all about you? Get the permission. They say yes. You then have the ability to move into a fact and finding stage. Now that fact and finding stage, we like to focus on a little acronym called LP Mama. And that's location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. So what's the location they're looking to move to? What price range? What is motivating that move? Are they working with an agent? Are we wasting our time? Have they been pre-approved or have spoken with a mortgage specialist for the house they want to buy? And we need to book an appointment so that we can move this along. At the end of this call, you want to make sure that you do a summarization. So we're about to move into closing that appointment at the end of the call. So we want to summarize all of the facts and all of the findings that we have. And the big reason to do this is to make sure that your leads know that you are paying attention. You're listening to their wants, needs, and concerns, and you're setting yourself up as the go-to person who they are going to want to communicate with. And then close that appointment, whether you're meeting at a Starbucks, whether you've got a series of listings, you picked out 3 that you want to go and show them, whether you're connecting them with your lender, or whether you're showing up to do a listing presentation. Set the appointment at the end. Kelly, do you have any key takeaways on these?
Yeah, the first, in order to get to closing the appointment, to me, the most important thing, if the conversation starts with an objection, is how to properly handle the objection. And I have always been of the psychology that you handle the objection by stating it back to them and then ignoring it. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, you need to be able to handle that objection. And there are times you're going to have to do that. However, if Brian says to me, well, Kelly, we're just looking, my response would be, that's fantastic. It always starts, Brian, with just the looking. So that's part of why I'm calling today. Whether you're buying today or 12 months from now, I want to make sure that I give you guys the best information on what's going on in the market today and what we see happening 12 months from now. Brian, wouldn't that be fair?
Absolutely. And
And
it almost sounds like you pulled that right out of our script playbook.
yeah. But my point is, if it flows like that, and I know when you get into situations where it's a little tense, you might want to feel like you need to justify. As an agent, if you ever get to where you feel like you have to justify yourself, you're going to lose. So my deal with the objection is to state it back to them and then not overcome it, but agree with them and move on. And you'll find that, because the same thing happens with commission. Well, what do you guys charge, right? Don't be talking on stage 2 commissions with them. You close the appointment and you do that in the house. But Brian, this is an absolute great blueprint. And for those of you agents watching this is a master's level on how you're going to get inside the door for a potential listing and how you're going to find yourself working with a buyer, because this literally is the process. It's never failed. This is exactly what happens every time I get a deal. There's no way to go to close the appointment if you haven't gone through the introduction, right, Brian?
Absolutely, 100%.
So you have to follow this. So these are good. I hope you guys are taking some notes, or you'll come back to the video, because this is literally ninja level marketing if you want to get yourself 3 to 5 closings. All right, Brian, I am absolutely like chomping at the bit. What's next?
So we're going to give some examples right out of the gate for you guys.
Ooh, I like this.
So this is an introduction example. So every call that you make needs to have a purpose, and every introduction should be a memory jogger, right? So if you're working with a lead generation company that's only pulling in, say, first name, last name, phone number, and email, you're never going to have a memory jogger other than you filled out a form somewhere, right? So that's why it's extremely important to ask additional questions when you're generating leads so that you can jog their memory and go, hey, this is what you submitted. So, hello, Fred. This is Kelly with eXp Realty. I'm calling because you recently filled out a form on Facebook regarding homes for sale in Orlando or surrounding areas. I can see you were looking for a home with 4 beds, 3 baths, just over 600K, and you're looking to move within the next 1 to 3 months. Is that correct? So these are all questions that we ask in our Facebook lead forms. And this is information that on Facebook and most platforms, that info can pre-fill for your first name, your last name, your phone number, and your email. All that stuff is stored in your Google Chrome and your Safari and your Windows or Microsoft Edge, even Firefox for that matter. And so when they go to fill out one of these forms, it's going to pre-populate with all of the info that's going to be pre-populated they've filled out before. So if you have drop downs or additional questions that won't be pre-populated, it's going to give you a massive leg up when you call to follow up with that lead, because you can say, this is exactly what you told me you were looking for. Is this what you're looking for? And they're going to say yes. Very, very few cases when you bring up all of the information that they provide to you in a lead form, will they say, no, that wasn't me. Have a good day. You can take somebody that says, I didn't fill out my information, and they will respond, oh yeah, I did actually fill out my information. Once you say, this is what it says you filled out.
Right.
So,
and this is also where you delineate their motivation. They just say, yes, that's exactly what I did. And then you know, okay, we're on the right track. Yeah, I did that. Probably in the next 6 to 12 months. See, now you can start to get information to help you plug in when and if they're actually going to be a client.
Absolutely. And so we're going to go over a couple of common objections and some ways to overcome those objections. So I have a similar formula to Kelly in overcoming objections, but I don't like to just agree with them. I like to rebut. It's just me, my personal belief, but we acknowledge the objection, we rebut, we provide a rebuttal to that objection, and then we transition and move through that. So it's kind of a way to come in like a ninja, like Kelly, and slice right through the objection and move on to the next part of the conversation. So if somebody replies with, I'm just looking, we can say something very similar to what Kelly said earlier. Great. My job is to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to help you find the perfect home on a timeline that you are comfortable with. You had entered your info that you're looking for a home with 4 beds, 3 baths, over 600K, and you're looking to move within the next 1 to 3 months. Is that correct? So you're going to get an initial objection right out of the gate. You need to hit them back with the memory joggers, the facts and findings, so that you can get the rapport going to move this on. Right? If they say I entered my information by mistake, we know it's a lie because we've had additional questions put in place that they have to fill out. There's no way they entered it by mistake. But we start out by saying, I totally get it. I enter my info on Facebook all the time and sometimes forget about it. It says that you were looking for homes with 4 beds, 3 baths, over 600K, and you're looking to move within the next 1 to 3 months. The email address that I have on file for you is fredtest@gmail.com, and our team started sending listings that match that criteria. Have you been receiving those emails? So if they say no, we haven't gotten those emails, it gives us the opportunity to pivot and say, well, is this your correct email address? Do we need to have a new place to send those to because we've been selling them? Or we can pick that conversation up and continue with it. I'm not interested in buying or selling. All right, so this is a big one. I hear this. This is our third most common objection that you're going to get from an internet lead. And so a great way to rebut that is to say, whether you're looking to buy now or in 10 years, my goal is to be a valuable resource to my clients and potential clients. I take a very relaxed, no obligation approach. And I see that you entered that you were looking for a home with 4 beds, 3 baths between 600K or over 600K. And I started sending listings that meet that criteria. Do you want to continue to receive those listings? So at this point in time, we're doing a very psychological move. And this is an old school sales tactic that's always worked extremely well, but it's the takeaway. You're providing somebody with something right now. You're giving them emails of listings that they told you that they wanted. So now we're asking them, do you want to continue to receive those, or should we stop? We're going to take away what we provided you if you're not interested. So this is a great way to psychologically get somebody to turn the corner and say, well, I am actually kind of interested. I'm just not ready to make a move right now. And then you can say, that's no big deal. I want to make sure that I can be a valuable resource and give you a hand. So let me know what you're looking for and what your timeline looks like. That way I can follow up with you in the best way possible, give you as much information and help educate you about the process and continue that conversation. So the next thing that we're going to move into, once we get through that initial objection, we overcome that initial objection, and they've said, hey, yes, I'm looking to buy, or I'm looking to sell, or I'm potentially looking to buy or sell in the next year or two. You want to move into a permission statement. So this is going to help build trust and disarm your lead right out of the gate. So say this: awesome. Now that you're seeing the listings in your email, may I ask some questions and take some notes so that I can send properties that would be of most interest to you? Or let me ask some questions and let me take some notes so that I can help educate you on the process of selling your home so that you don't make any of the costly mistakes that I've seen thousands before you make. So these kinds of permission statements, number one, it's going to bring the shield down. It's going to put the sword back in the sheath, and it's going to give you the ability to have a real conversation with somebody and move into an interview process. Now, on that interview process, you can use whatever you want for an acronym or have a series of questions lined up that you want to ask. This is a really solid guideline that you can follow so that you can get all of the pertinent information. So for a location, it looks like you're receiving listings in what's your county, Kelly?
Lake County, Florida.
So it looks like you're receiving listings in Lake County, Florida. Are there any specific neighborhoods, school districts, or zip codes you'd like to be in? So now we can just go ahead and hone down the list of properties that we're sending out to that individual, and we're setting it up so that we're only showing them what they want to see, and we're not just spamming them with a bunch of cannon fodder. Price. I can see that you're looking for homes that are over 600,000, but I can only see over 600,000. Is there a specific budget that you have in mind? That way I can make sure I'm not sending like $2 million homes that don't fit your needs. I want to make sure I'm sending you the right properties. Motivation. This is going to be the number one aspect that I would say that you need to focus on. This can be your largest rapport builder. So great, may I ask what's driving you to move? What's motivating you to make this move? What's motivating you to purchase a new home? What's the largest determining factor in selling your property? You're going to be able to get these folks to come out and say, well, we're expecting, and we need a larger home so that we can have a nursery, or I need to make sure that we have a larger backyard that's fenced in so that my dogs have a place to run and they're not taking off and running down the neighborhood, right? So anything that comes up with the motivation of why they're making that move, you need to make sure that you take note of this right out of the gate. If someone ever tells you in the initial objection, hey, I can't talk right now, I'm at a little league game, take note of anything that is going to help you build rapport, gain trust, and disarm this lead. So that way, the next time that you give them a call, you bring up, hey, I just want to see how everything was going. I know you guys were expecting soon, but when exactly was that? So I can have a better idea, right? So that way you can show interest in the actual individual, show them that you cared, and show them that you're listening. This is going to give you the best opportunity to start and spark conversations so that your leads will want to continue to work with you, keep those conversations alive, and ultimately turn into a commission check. Are you currently working with an agent that you've signed an agreement with? So this is a big one. I don't like asking, are you working with an agent?
Correct.
Because most people are going to respond with yes. They have a cousin, an aunt, a brother-in-law, sister-in-law, a friend that has been licensed and does this part-time, and they're going to say yes. So if you ask if they've signed an agreement with somebody, they're going to think about it. And more than likely, they're going to respond as long as they haven't filled out or signed an agreement. They're going to say, no, I haven't signed an agreement with anyone. You know that you now have permission to continue that conversation and insert yourself as the professional presence that's knowledgeable with that local marketplace and can help them in the best way possible.
I've had this question come up before, and the agent question, if they say yes, is kind of an objection. And this is one of the instances where I'm actually going to bring out the ninja sword and I'm going to find out what their motivation, because, talk's cheap, it takes money to buy rum. And sometimes they're just trying to say, yes, I am, so that they don't have to go further with you to the appointment. So what I do is I say, well, if you're not obligated via a written agreement, would you be interested in hearing about how we help with things like closing costs, inspection fees, how we help assist our buyers with their moving truck and boxes to move, and how we take care of cleaning their current residence after they move? Is this a conversation we can have? And is your current agent doing any of that with you? And if they say no, now you've brought some things to the table that the other side's not doing or they're thinking about. You're bringing value to the table. So that's one of the few instances where I kind of give away some goodies, because I just want to absolutely put a knife in family member, church member, whatever, that might be an agent, but they suck.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
And I mean, it really boils down to positioning at this point in time. What can you provide to them that they don't know the other party can, right? So they may know that their aunt, church member, friend, cousin is a real estate agent, but in most cases, they don't know what that person does day in and day out and what their job really entails.
Correct.
So this is a time for you to set yourself apart from your competition and shine and make sure that you can really hit the nail on the head with what you bring to the table for them. The next thing that we're going to go into is mortgage. Seeing that you have a budget in mind, it sounds like you've done some research. Have you met with a mortgage specialist for a pre-approval yet? You can ask this in any multitude of ways, but we got to make sure that we get the point across and find out if they've gotten a pre-approval started and if there's somebody that can qualify. We don't want to waste our time on leads that aren't qualifying or that can't get qualified. Those individuals you should be putting off into a separate bucket where you're putting them through some kind of credit repair program so that you can help rebuild their credit, get them to a position to where they can purchase a house maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years down the road. But for every single one of these clients that you bring on that may not have the credit, if you aren't pushing them into some kind of a credit repair program, you're losing business and you're wasting dollars on your ad spends and budgets for that generation of leads. So treat every single one of these contacts and prospects as if they're gold, because they may be a commission check in 6 months. They may be a commission check in 2 years. If you treat them right, they're going to come back. And if you take care of them, they're going to reach back out to you. And I think on that point, Kelly, you've got a credit repair company, right?
That's correct. The one thing that I've learned, and this is just me, and this is not something that's specific. The one thing that I've learned, and to answer Brian's question, yes, we do. And if somebody's credit challenged, we just simply put them in a program and put them in the bucket list. And hopefully in the next 6 to 12 months, we get them outside of that. And now we've got a client that we can get into a home. But one of the things that we talk to when we come to the mortgage phase, Brian, is we'll say something to this extent. Have y'all worked with a lending specialist to go ahead and determine how much loan value you would be given from a lending institution? That way we know how much home to go and look at, because it's important, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that we know exactly what they're going to give you, and that will determine the price point of the home. Have y'all done that yet? No. Oh, well, then we definitely need to do that, because you might actually be able to get more home than you think, right? Instead of trying to say, well, you're only going to be able to get 500. How about we just spin it positively? Well, you guys might actually be able to go and get a nicer home. Let's go ahead and set you up for that conversation so that we know exactly how much of a nice home you guys would qualify for. And Absolutely. You're kind of rewording that psychologically. So it's not like, have y'all talked to a lender yet? Have you gotten a mortgage? That's kind of an anathema to a potential client. Anyway, good stuff, Brian.
Completely agree with you there. Then when it comes time to move into that appointment, really sounds like you have a good grasp on what you're looking for in a home. To summarize, you're looking for a home in this location around this price because you've got a newborn on the way. Have you been on any tours to get a feel for what's on the market in person? Let's go ahead and take a look at some houses so that we can break down and find your likes, dislikes, and figure out exactly what you need in a new house. So go ahead and set that appointment and get it set in stone so that you can go ahead and meet with them. And then again, once you've set that appointment, you want to make sure that you have some safety nets in place. You want to make sure that you send out a confirmation email to that appointment, and then automate the responses there to say, hey, we've got an appointment tomorrow. Have that text and email get sent out. And then an hour before the meeting, have another text and email sent out. That way it gives them the ability that if they had something that comes up, they can let you know, and you're not driving to meet them at a house and wasting your time sitting there upset that they didn't show up. So we want to make sure that we have those in place. Number one, it's going to remind them that, hey, I need to be here. And number two, if something happens that they can't show up, they can respond to you so that it saves your time, it saves their time, and it makes everything most appreciative. So we're going to cover some tips for effectively calling internet leads. Give me 1 second. I'm going to back out of this and move back in because I pushed forward on this. So tips for effectively calling internet leads. Even the best call scripts can be ineffective if you're not prepared and confident. So here's a few tips to make sure that you're maximizing your chances with each internet lead. So if you have a call script, make sure that you've rehearsed that call script. I've always said put a mirror directly in front of you when you're making these calls and smile. Your tone is going to change drastically because you smiled.
Brian, can I share with you what I've done that to me it helped me more than anything? Because we are in the age of video, we've got BombBomb, we've got our cell phones where we literally can do a video of ourselves. I'll record a BombBomb video of me talking to myself as if I were the lead, and then I will watch it. I will literally just jump right into it, do the 2-minute internet call to myself, and I will then replay what I just did. And man, I tell you what, it really helped me hone in on effective communication skills, because I realized as I was talking to myself, how much BS was coming out of my mouth, right? So if you're watching this, an effective way that the Ninja has done this is to record myself making this phone call to myself, or if you can find a partner where y'all can role play this, that's even better. But if you can record it, you literally can go in and watch it enough times that you can see what you don't want to do, and get rid of those rough edges and hone in on your skills. So I use a lot of video to do these types of practices, Brian.
Well, and on that point, I think about professional athletes when you say that, right? So Tiger Woods, I mean, we don't know if he's going to be golfing here in the near future, but Tiger Woods, to get that swing and to really nail it down, took him years and years and years and years of practice, thousands and thousands of swings. And in the majority of those swings while practicing are recorded. That way you can go back and see what minor adjustments need to be made so that you can make that swing more efficient. So if you do have a system in place where you can record your calls and go back and listen to how that call went, you're going to find little indicators that say, oh, I should have said this at this point in time. I should have done this to overcome that rebuttal. And it's going to constantly refine yourself and make you better and better and better. So the bottom line is the conversations won't always play out how you practice, but it's super important to make sure that you get a good first impression out there and understand when you need to make a course correction in that call. So go ahead and rehearse those scripts. I absolutely love that tip of calling yourself on a bomb so that you can go back, listen to yourself, and refine the things that you need to refine. I think just about everybody in every profession across the board that's operating at that highest level is doing things just like that to make sure that they're constantly honing in their craft, refining it, and making it the best that it absolutely can be. Calling is a craft. Do whatever you can to make sure that you get better with every call. So if we're calling in the evenings on weekdays between 4 and 6, this is typically a great time to reach somebody, right? So they've gotten off work, they're on the road. Most people have Bluetooth in their car. So this gives you a solid ability to catch somebody while they're just listening to music, kind of zoning out, and you can have that conversation with them. So I would also avoid calling people before 9 a.m. or after 8 p.m. You're going to have a lot of people that are upset or that are pissed off. You don't want to wake somebody up at 7:30 in the morning. Pardon my French, guys. You don't want to wake somebody up at 7:30 in the morning to jump on a call with them. It's going to give a bad taste right out of the gate, and it's not going to go anywhere. And it's also best to be respectful and avoid calling on Sundays or on holidays. Everybody is different. You never know what somebody's religious affiliation is or what they've got going. We don't want to overburden or reach out to somebody on Sundays, particularly. That's kind of a day of rest for most people. So make sure that we avoid that so that we aren't upsetting anyone. The next thing that I would say is respect their decisions, right? So I've worked with several individuals that will get a no and they'll keep calling that individual time and time again. It never results in anything good. It typically results in damaging your business, damaging your reputation. If somebody has a bad experience with you, they are likely to share that bad experience with 16 people. So we don't want to share those bad experiences. If someone declines your service, don't make a follow-up call. But do leave your contact information in case they decide to buy. So
one thing I'll add to that, if they decline your services, there's nothing wrong with a follow-up response. Well, Brian, I totally get that, and I'm going to honor that. Let me ask you a question, just so that I can stay in communication with you throughout the year. Would it be okay if I just sent you maybe once a month or so some information by email with regard to what's going on locally? If anything, it'll be great information for you guys. And if you have any questions, say 6 months to a year from now, you'll remember me by the emails. And if you have any questions, I will be more than willing to respond. Would that be acceptable to you if I communicate with you maybe once a month by email? And then Brian's either going to say yes or no. Probably he'll say yes because I did it in such a polite way. And now you can put him on a long-term drip with their permission.
Absolutely. And there's one part in there that we've been adding into our agents' call scripts that has massively increased that conversion of that call. And it's one of the very last statements you said. Would it be okay with you if? So would it be okay if? Is it okay with you if we do this? You're inadvertently asking for permission, which when you're asking that type of question, it inherently disarms them subliminally, and it helps you move forward in that conversation. You are 100% correct. If someone says, nope, not interested, that doesn't mean that you have to end the call right there, but very politely ask if there's any way that you can continue to follow up. If they tell you no, don't follow up.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I don't want to talk to you. Let it end right there, and don't push any further. If you've already pushed the one time in a very respectful way, asking if you can lightly follow up with them, and they say no, just leave it there and let it go. That way they don't write a bad review about you or go and say something negative, you know.
Amen.
This is we want to avoid getting canceled. So let's show them how you can help as well. So bring up other internet leads that you've helped or other sales where you've gone above and beyond for your buyer or your seller. I can't tell you how many times in my sales career that by sharing a previous experience that a client of mine has had that was maybe in a similar situation to that current client has helped get us over the fence and onto the next segment that we need to move into. So I always like to think about my happy clients, right? I mean, we work with hundreds, close to 1,000 agents right now with our agency, and over 1,000 in our university that we're helping grow. And I can think about how happy my clients are that they get to go in and learn all of these processes and how to automate all of these things and everything that they're doing. And I've got probably 300 individual stories from clients that I've helped in the past. I can tell you when I bring up a success story from someone that has a similar objection or is sitting in a similar place as one of my previous clients that came on board that had that kind of weary thought, and now they're seeing success. It's a game changer for how that call can go. So make sure that you're sharing successes that previous clients have had. A good example of this is if somebody says, I don't want to sell my house right now because I'm afraid I won't be able to find a new home. I love feel, felt, found for this. So the way that I would respond is I totally understand how you feel. I actually helped a client last month sell and purchase a new home that felt the exact same way. But what they found is when we were able to sell their home for a premium, it gave them more buying power and the ability to actually purchase their dream home. So I know inventory might be a little light, but I've got tons of years of experience, and my goal is to help you overcome that and find your perfect home. And I'm confident that we can do so.
That's a big one, Brian. I'm getting that objection quite a bit more than, say, the last 7 years. So one of the things that I did, which is kind of a companion to the strategy you just gave, is I'll say to the seller, and I've had them say this to me, I'll say, you know what? I totally get that. I would probably have the same concerns as you. Let me ask you this. If we could find another home that not only exceeds your wishes, but is priced in your market, this is a home that you would be willing to buy. If we can find that home before you sell yours, would you be interested in talking with me? Right? That's a way. Now you're seeing if they really want to sell their home. The objection is I need a home to go to, which in this market is tough. But if you have a system and a strategy and a program in place where you can actually find homes, maybe off-market homes, then you can engage them, maybe go out and look at a couple of these homes, right? And then show them that as an agent, you're not like other agents. You're doing things above and beyond. Guys, not only will you handle that objection, you're going to give them something no other agent did, an actual doorway to making not only the sale of their home possible, but for them in purchasing their dream home. So you're going to get a lot of those objections. What Brian just broke down and what I just said are two very incredibly ninja, awesome certified ways in handling that objection. And if you have it, you are going to get that objection. I promise you.
And one of the things I absolutely love about what you just covered, Kelly, is that you're leveraging your marketing that you're out there doing with that particular individual. So Kelly does a ton of mailers, Facebook advertisement, Google, YouTube. He's everywhere. And so he's getting in front of these potential home sellers. And in some cases, he may have the opportunity to get that phone call before they're ever thinking of listing. If he can connect a buyer with that seller right out of the gate, perfect unison, wins 2 commissions out of the deal, and gives himself the opportunity to set himself apart from many of the competitors that are out there. So I absolutely love leveraging what you're currently doing to help show potential sellers that you're different from other agents out there on the market and why they should work with you. It's absolutely fantastic stuff, Kelly. So that just about covers everything that we've got. So if you guys have a question, for us, or you want a flood of buyer and seller leads, go ahead and book an appointment with us. I'm going to, Kelly, is there a way, let's go ahead and add this slideshow presentation so they can have the deck,
Yeah, we'll do that.
copy.
Hit
Let's go ahead and add this into the
Google
YouTube
Slides, and I'll post it on the YouTube video. So guys, if you're watching this, just go below in the comment section, and we'll give you a link to the slide deck that Brian had, so you can go back and just kind of re-educate yourself. To me, this is real estate 101. This isn't about this new strategy that's going to have 12 home sellers driving to your home, begging you to list with them. That's not what this is. This, to me, is real estate 101. If you don't do what Brian just said, and you really hone these skills in, it doesn't matter how many leads that you generate, whether you generate them for a penny or $500, you're not going to get to the closing that you want. So yeah, Brian, we'll put a link below the video onto this slide deck, and anybody watching it, just go down, click it, and that's Brian's gift to you.
Absolutely. And you can always go to leads2roi.com. And for booking an appointment with us, just go ahead and scroll down on the page and schedule a free consultation right here. And it's going to drive you to where you can book a 15-minute, a 30-minute, or a free consultation if you're part of Be Known University, where we help hundreds and hundreds of agents every month with questions that they have for building their own marketing and how to dominate their local marketplace. So feel free to go to our site and book an appointment, and we'll provide you guys with this slideshow so that you can download it and have access to it.
Good stuff, Brian, as always.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on again today, Kelly. And again, if anyone has questions, feel free to reach out. We're more than happy to help.
All right, Ninja Maniacs, be prepared. The next couple of days, we're going to be putting some killer content out. So make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't. And if you're watching and you forgot to hit the bell, hit that now, for God's sake, because this content is that good. Matter of fact, Brian, if we were selling this video, I'd probably be the first one to want to buy the content. But anyway, hit the bell. That way you'll be notified every time I go live with these videos, because I'm trying my best, guys. I'm like you. I'm an active agent, and I'm trying my best to find content worthy of your time and energy to focus in on and eliminate, let me just say this, eliminate a lot of the BS out there and keep you from spending money unwisely. Again, from Brian and myself, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.